Yeah.
Lord Meher, page 971, chapter's called Toka, 1928. The same day, Meherji was depressed because he had been dismissed as Baba's personal attendant. Baba first teased him, but then he joked with him to appease him. The following night, Baba beckoned him. Ask of me whatever you want, and I will give it to you. The sky, the depths, the earth, the waters, anything you may desire. You have only to ask for it. Meherji humbly replied that he did not want anything. Baba insisted, oh, for God's sake, ask for something. I am happy tonight and I will give you anything you want. Meherji persisted, saying that he did not want anything other than to serve him well. So Baba reinstated him as his orderly and Meherji was satisfied. Sailor visited on the 27th, as did Bao Chima, who performed a comical bhajan program from 8 to 10 p.m. Baba's health had become steadily worse. On Friday, 28 September 1928, he stopped going to the school or to the Mandali side. Later, he held a long discussion with the Mandali about closing the ashram at Toka. After several hours, it was decided to continue the activities, and Rustam was again appointed Bara Sahib, as he had been at Meherabad, with full authority to oversee all the affairs in the ashram according to Baba's orders. The next day, Baba had a high fever. His head, waist, and stomach were aching. Yet he continued his fast, staying at Meher Manzil the whole day, surrounded by the boys. Ramju happened to pass by in the morning, and Baba gestured to him, how do I look? Ramju replied that Baba looked his usual self. Still, Baba remarked, last night was terrible for me. I had 105-degree temperature throughout the night. My limbs have gone limp. My back is sore and aching. I could not rest, even for a second. Had you been in my place, you would have dropped your body. Then, abruptly changing the subject, Baba turned to one of the youngest boys in the ashram, 8-year-old Pandit Mahendarji, and asked, tell me what you want. God, freedom, paradise, a motor car, toys, or anything else that you like. This is the time. Ask me whatever you want today, and I will give it to you. Pandit immediately replied, Baba, I want your sufferings to cease. I want you to get completely well. Ramju was so touched by these simple words from one so small that he was speechless. It was the wine of love speaking through Pandit. How can those who have never tasted this wine ever understand it? Although Ramju had stopped keeping a diary, as he had done during the period of Manzulamim, he now began thinking of collecting all the stories relating to the miraculous events surrounding the master and ashram boys. During this time, as if reading his inner thoughts, Baba sent Rao Seb to tell Ramju, Baba wants you to write the adventures of Aga Ali. This was later developed into his book, Sobs and Throbs, which was based on diary notes then being kept by Chanji. Aga Ali was not the only Prem ashram boy to suffer separation from the master and risk grave dangers while escaping from his parents' home to return to the ashram. Another was a 12-year-old Muslim named Abdul Wahab Kalingad, who had been taken away on the same day as Ali, but had managed to find his way back to Toka within a week. On 27th September, however, Kalingad's elder brother came again to the ashram and took him away. Within 3 days, the brother was back, demanding Kalingad's return. The boy had escaped on the very day they reached Bombay, but had not yet turned up at Toka. The brother eventually relented, seeing that Baba was truly the light in Kalingad's heart, saying, when he comes, let him remain here, and he left. On 1st October, Kalingad finally showed up, and his brother was immediately informed by telegram. A party was given at 5 p.m. to celebrate his return. Age, too, rejoiced. Where there is a lamp, there are moths. No one can understand the play between them without having the experience of being a moth. Every nerve was strained to keep these moths away from the lamp, but how could they survive without seeing the light burning in their hearts? A new timetable for the Prem Ashram boys came into effect from Monday, 1st October 1928. 5:30 a.m. Wake up, wash, and brush teeth, etc. 6:15 a.m. Breakfast, and thereafter a walk, no meditation. 10:30 to 12:15 bath. Those not bathing should rest, no meditation. 12:15 to 2 p.m. lunch and rest. 2 to 3:50 p.m. meditation. 3:50 to 4 attend the dispensary for treatment, if not rest. 4 to 5 p.m. meditation. 5 to 6:30 walk or play a game. 6:30 to 8:30 rest, no meditation. 8:30 to 9:30 dinner, walk, no meditation. 9:30 retire for the night. The same day, the following rules and regulations for the Prem Ashram boys came into effect. 1, boys not to touch one another. 2, not to speak to one another in Baba's presence. 3, not to make holes in the bamboo matting, separating rooms to peek through. 4, not to enter another's room. 5, not to use another's articles. 6, everyone should use his own glass to drink water. 7, not to go out of the compound without permission. 8, not to take a walk in the hall. 9, until further notice, no one should study or read any books. 10, no one to write anything without permission. 11, no one should urinate in the bathing rooms. 12, no one should lean against the bamboo matting fence. 13, not to do anything else except the routine work without permission. Not to touch anything in the ashram without some reason. 14, all should obey the officer concerned, especially Aga Baidul. 15, tell Aga Baidul if anything is needed, or in his absence, to his deputy assistant. While sitting on the floor, 16, while sitting on the floor, not to forget to use a gunny sack underneath. And 17, everyone to keep his room clean and not to spit or clean his nose there. For several days, Baba was in a dark mood and mentioned leaving Toka and disbanding the ashram. Because of the heavy rains throughout the night, the weather was quite chilly, which Baba did not like. Going to the toilet in the open field was inconvenient for the men. The boys were brought to the school with difficulty, and because of the physical discomfort, it was practically impossible to teach them. Almost half of the benches and chairs were wet. Chanji was scolded for putting the boys to so much trouble. Because of the wet weather, Baba ordered the school closed on Tuesday, 2nd October 1928. They were to rest that day as if it were Sunday and hold classes the following Sunday to make up for the lost day. K.J. Dastor went to Bombay for a few days on the 3rd. Before leaving, he bid farewell to Mastan and then stepped forward to embrace him, as he sometimes did. Mastan flew into a rage and practically attacked Dastor, who quickly backed away while one of the Mandali restrained Mastan. All right, I believe it's time for the next reader.
I'll read next. Baba left the same day for Nasik with Jalbai, Rose Sahib, and Ali Akbar, whom Baba had recently nicknamed Manjun.
Footnote, Manjun is a famous Persian character.
No, it's a Majnoon.
Majnun, right,
Yes.
sorry. Who fell in love with a woman, but because of tribal circumstances could not be united with her. The suffering of not being with her eventually drove him mad. In the end, however, he encountered a perfect master who gave him realization. Majnun was a befitting name for Ali Akbar because his love for Baba was very near divine madness, and the boy was perhaps the most intense and restless of those in the Prem ashram.
And picked up Nosedwan Satha on the way in Ahmednagar. Chota Baba would have been taken also, but the car was too small. In Nasik, the next day, Baba visited the Dastur Parsi High School, which was located in a beautiful setting. Baba liked the school, but the priest who was running it did not like his suggestions. Of how to give the boys spiritual as well as religious instruction. The priest insisted that he was giving religious instruction according to Zoroastrian custom and was indignant when he confronted Baba. Baba was piqued by his attitude and commented to the Mandali. Intellectual training itself is not sufficient. I know what sort of instruction these priests give, as I myself studied in a Catholic school. Priests and dasturs are truly hard headed. These days, there's too much stress everywhere on religion. Religion is the root cause of all strife, both internal and external, and is the cause of all wars in the world. Baba visited Gangapur Falls and on the way pointed out a small village called Gawalwadi. This is the village where Upasni Maharaj often used to go. Baba remarked, Maharaj would collect cow dung here and take it on his head to Nasik to sell. On top of the adjoining mountain is Boghat Hill, where Maharaj, as a young man, passed one full year alone in a cave, living only on water. Baba also pointed out a cave at a distance where he and Maharaj sometimes met. While on the way to Nasik, the car was stopped briefly near the tomb of Bapu Saheb in Ahmednagar. Many of the local people believed Bapu Saheb to be a saint. However, Baba revealed Bapu Saheb was perfect. God realized, but he was a majzu and not a salik. In other words, he was absorbed in his state and had no duties in the gross world. Within a few minutes on their way to Akbar Press to have lunch before proceeding to Nasik, another car passed them from the opposite direction, noticeably slowing down for a few moments before continuing on. To that, to the amazement of the Mandali seated in the car was none other than Hazrat Babajan. This was not the only coincidental meeting of the two masters during this trip. On his return to Ahmednagar, 2 days later, on 5th October, Baba again stopped at Akbar Press. A special room has been kept there for Baba to rest. And he went there while the Mandali had their meal. Within moments, Baba came out into the compound and sat in a chair on the veranda by himself. Thinking that the master was sitting in solitude for his special work, the Mandali and devotees purposely kept silent and at a distance. Again, to their utter surprise, they saw a car drive up with Baba Jan inside and stop on the road exactly opposite to where Baba was seated. His face looked wonderfully joyful. There was an exchange of glances between the two masters, which signified some incomprehensible message between them. After only a few minutes, the car with Baba Jan drove off. This was the second meeting between Baba Jan and Meher Baba. Asked about the significance of these meetings, Baba enigmatically replied, Baba Jan met me today for the second time. It means that I am now free. Perhaps Baba was referring to Aga Ali. Coincidentally, on the same day that Baba left Toka for Nasik, Aga Ali began his second escape from Bombay to Toka. Most significantly, Ali arrived at the exact time that Baba Jan and Meher Baba met at Akbar Press. At 7 in the evening, Baba and the group arrived back in Toka, where Baba happily welcomed Ali back, embracing his hero tenderly. Baba intended to proceed to Aurangabad and farther north to Nagpur that very night, leaving Rosa Sahib and Ali Akbar in Toka. He started for Aurangabad with Chota Baba and Khak Sahib, but the car got stuck in the mud after covering only 4 miles. Baba and the group spent the night in a wayside shelter and returned to Toka the following morning at 11 o'clock. Baba had transferred the responsibility of the ashram to Rustam and was now wholly occupied with the Prem ashram boys. The boys were eating only once a day and sleeping only 3 hours a night. But they were remarkably healthy and energetic. Baba would discourse every day to them on God, divine love, the spiritual path, obedience to and faith in the Master, and many other themes, inspiring them to tread the path of wholehearted devotion to God. The atmosphere was surcharged with the Master's presence, and the wine of love was smiling through the boys' joy. In the presence of God in human form, their hearts felt a joy that the world could not contain. Although several of the boys had been quite mischievous during his absence, Baba did not reprimand them. At 5 o'clock on Sunday evening, 7th October 1928, Baba went for a walk to the riverbank with the boys. The river was more than a mile away, and while walking, they had to remove thorns from their feet and walk on rough stones along the path. When they reached the river and all had gathered around Baba, he stated, "See what troubles we have taken to reach the bank. We decided to come and have arrived. Had we been in the ashram, we would have no idea about the river, its powerful current, the expanse of its water, etc. You drink water here and tell others you have drunk it and invite them to do the same. The inner path is similar. A person has to undergo terrific hardships and becomes annoyed and tired. But I tell you, not to give up patience, and not to retrace your footsteps. Once you step on the path, never go back, but always go forward. This is only a river, but I am the ocean. Remember that. Afterward, sitting among the boys, Baba distributed chocolates and sweets. During this period, the Mandali found the opportunity to be with Baba only in the evening, for during the daytime, no one was permitted near him. Concerning the boys, on 8th October, Baba explained to the men, I have 1001 thoughts about these children. At the moment, they are merged in me. So I have to look after their health. They keep awake the whole night, remembering me. But this time I will see to it, give them a push, have no doubt about it. The only thing I fear is their parents' interference. If they were to put forth obstacles, the children would be neither here nor there. This path is not a laughing matter. It is not a joke. Some of the boys are quite good, but no immediate push can be given to them all at once. After all, they are only children. In 1928, Colonel Irani began publishing critical articles about Meher Baba in the newspapers, inciting in the Irani and Parsi communities ill will and hatred toward Baba. The colonel became totally preoccupied with his misconceived false propaganda and also started sending objectionable letters directly to the master and certain close followers. Thank you. Rosalie, could you please read next?
Mute, Rosalie.
Concerning Colonel Irani's activities on 9th October, Baba remarked, all this has no substance. There is nothing in it. It is not real suffering for me. Christ had no roof over his head and had to wander all the time. I have no such hardships, yet I want and rather invite them. Let him write and speak against me. It will bear good results. So in actuality, Colonel Irani was a powerful medium for the master, and his work, because due to the colonel's blasphemous attitude, Meher Baba's name rapidly came into prominence. When the master began gathering disciples, different Zoroastrian communities were almost fanatically opposed to him. But gradually, as their hostilities simmered down, some of those who had been most antagonistic to him eventually bowed their heads at his feet. In fact, Baba was giving inner help to Colonel Irani to spread more opposition to him as an impetus for his work. Baba had once warned, Parsis and Iranis will be the cause of my death. It did not mean that he would physically fall victim to their attacks. Baba's allusion was to this opposition to his cause. And those who opposed him in the beginning were to find him nearer to them in the end. Baba had to work inwardly very hard and quickly through their opposition to bring them nearer to him. And this labor itself meant his near death. But all this was Baba's wish, to excite his detractors and intensify their opposition. It was Baba's spiritual game, and it is impossible to understand the inner work he accomplished through those who opposed him. The important thing is that those whom Baba had said would be the death of him became closer to him later on. And eventually they realized who he really was. Later after dinner and arti at 9 October, Baba sent for the Prem Ashram boys to come to the manzil. It had been a long time since he had called them after dinner. Rustam had recently brought some new gramophone records from Pune, including one featuring a clarinet, and Baba and the boys enjoyed them. Selections were read aloud from the mystics of Islam, and Baba commented on the passages. Footnote.
The Mystics of Islam by Reynold Nicholson, 1914, has long been recognized as a classic and definitive introduction to the message of Sufism. This short but comprehensive work by one of the greatest Islamic scholars of the 20th century provides the general reader with an easy approach to the study of Islamic mysticism.
Baba allowed the boys to bow down to him, and each sat quietly afterward close to Baba. One boy, Vasant, continuously stared at Baba, and another boy, Datu, sat with his head on Baba's knees. Kalingad, while sitting beside Baba, fell asleep. Baba tossed his handkerchief at him and he awoke. Slowly opening his eyes, observing his reaction, Baba stated, "People all over the world are like that. When awakening, first they gradually open their eyes, and it is the same with me. I take 2.5 hours for rest or sleep, but I do not really sleep. My body is here, and you think I am sleeping, but I am inwardly working at different places. I perform my duty during these 2.5 hours, but it takes me half an hour to become fully conscious." In a similar way, Ramakrishna Paramhansa of Calcutta would take 1 hour to become fully conscious. A perfect master never sleeps. While he is doing universal work, strenuous efforts are required to open his eyes. As if after a long sleep, Sai Baba looked like he was actually sleeping while sitting in the presence of his disciples. But he was, in fact, engaged in his universal duty. To bring him back, an old devotee would put a chillum in his mouth and he would come to after a long time. Baba Jan also used to take an hour to be fully awake. She would go to sleep or rest at 4 a.m. and not awaken till 9 or 10 a.m. The next day, Baba urged the Prem Ashram boys, "If you love me, I will make you Jivan Muktas." This meant that if pleased by their love, Baba would bestow realization upon them, but not give them any spiritual duty. On Wednesday, 10 October 1928, The 31st day of his fast, Baba entered his special seat in the table cabin at MEHER manzil and informed Vishnu, I will not leave here starting from tomorrow. For the next 12 days and nights, Baba did not step out of the Prem ashram, but worked exclusively with the boys. Though he was fasting and not eating, he would serve food to the children. His entire concentration was on the boys of the Prem ashram. If one of the Mandali were to approach Baba about any other facet of the ashram, Baba would express his annoyance and abruptly cut the person short, snapping, do as you like. The divine tavern was open, and the Saki wished to immerse the young ones in his ocean of love. This period was especially intense, and Baba seldom rested at night. He would watch the boys meditate to make certain that they were following his instructions about meditation and certain postures. He would correct their mistakes and guide them. He was with them constantly throughout the day, sharing their periods of recreation as well as their study times. The afternoons were for rest and relaxation, and Baba would gather the boys around him and listen to phonograph records. On occasion, the boys would sing to him in Marathi or Urdu, which he enjoyed. Only in the evenings at 8 o'clock, for a brief half hour, were the other boys of MEHER ashram and the men Mandali allowed to enter the manzil compound and sit by Baba to enjoy his company. During these evening sessions, Baba gave many revealing discourses. On 11th October, he emphasized to the Prem ashram boys the way of love. Love is the divine gift given by the Sadgurus. But if the whole world wants to, it can never bestow such a gift. Oh, correction. Even if the whole world wants to, it can never bestow such a gift. And once it is granted, not even all of humanity can snatch it away, no matter how hard it strives to do so. Love is the divine gift. Once you know how to love, there is no trouble. Once you have adapted yourselves to the way, your hardships disappear. At present, Ali Akbar, Ramanji, and other boys are troubled. They have love, but they do not know the way of it, and so feel disturbed. Now I shall show you the way, because in your intoxication of love, you break my orders, even though you are unaware of it. But now the time has come to the point to point out the way. But now the time has come to point out the way. After I show you the way, you will not be troubled. Do not be afraid. I am with you. Your luck is indeed great. Sadgurus take birth only for people like you. I will show you the way as it has never been shown before. I will give away everything, but first you must give up everything and dedicate all to me. Outwardly, I have assigned the management of the ashram to Rustam. Likewise, even the inner management can be assigned. Within these next 6 months, either I will make you what I intend to make you spiritually, or shut everything down. If no difficulty crops up, I will make you. The plan is there to keep difficulties away. The only thing is wisdom should manage everything outwardly within my orders.
Okay, thanks, Rosalie. I think Eugene is up, right, Mona?
Yeah, it's Eugene next.
Eugene, are you with us?
Yeah, you do not have the slightest notion of what I will do now. So just continue doing your work according to my wish and do not worry. The subject then turned to different types of food, and Baba made the following remarks. There are 3 things that are very good for increasing and purifying the blood: pomegranates, grapes, and tomatoes. But grapes have one defect: they create acidity. Okra is good for people with waist pain. Potatoes give strength, but can cause an upset stomach. Lentils are good. Beans, squash, cabbage, and cauliflower are not nourishing, but are tasty. Eggplant is the worst. To eat eggplant is to commit suicide because it actually shatters the blood, which in the form of water causes discharge or mucus. Radishes create gas, but they are good for the intestines. Tomatoes are the best for blood. Methi, fenugreek leaves, and suwa, dill, are also very good. Rustam jokingly interjected, chicken's good because it has no sanskaras. We are not talking of sanskaras, but of the quality of things, Baba corrected. Then he continued, among non-vegetarian food, fish is the best for the brain because it contains phosphorus. Eggs too are good, but are hard to digest. Among all food, milk is the best because nothing is killed in obtaining it. The next best are vegetables because life in them is not fully developed. The worst impressions lie in non-vegetarian food. By eating meat, a person at once contacts animal sanskaras, which stimulate anger and lust. The give and take of sanskaras depends on the attitude of the mind. That is, if you do a certain action with good intentions, you catch good sanskaras, and if with bad intentions, bad sanskaras. When you go on a hunt, you kill an animal for the sake of sport and enjoyment. You therefore take its bad sanskaras. But suppose you are going through a forest and a wild animal attacks you. In order to defend yourself, you kill it. In that case, you do not catch any sanskaras. That is why, without attracting sanskaras, you may destroy the lives of bugs, mosquitoes, scorpions, etc., which cause injury to humanity. You may kill the serpent which comes to bite you, but you must not kill the serpent which you happen to see in a jungle while taking a walk. About the early morning meditation, some had been instructed to follow. Baba explained, the best time for meditation is between 3 and 5 a.m. Why? This is a secret. There is some connection between the sun and the universe, and in order to meditate, one must cross the solar or astral planes. In order to give a push to the devotees, Sadhgurus especially stand in the points of those planes and the universe between 3 and 5 a.m. No Sadhguru has ever explained it so clearly. The day before, Baba had shown Jalbai a spot underneath a tree where he directed him to construct a dhuni, ordering a tin shed to be built over it. Jalbai prepared everything in one day, and Baba came to inspect it on the 11th, accompanied by Baidul, Rao Saheb, Chanji, Meherji, and Chagan. Summoning the boys, Baba had them sit down around him. He then explained, "Listen carefully to what I have to say. It is for you that I am sitting inside in seclusion and working. Therefore, while I'm working, there should be no disturbance at all. If I am disturbed, you will not progress. If I am not disturbed, I will see that you advance on the path. Nowadays, your education and study have been stopped. This is a problem as there is opposition against me in the newspapers and elsewhere. If one of your fathers comes here and finds that you are not studying, he will think otherwise and take you away. The village headman is also keeping his eyes on us to satisfy the public outcries. And if the police come, they will discover that you are not studying. Therefore, a shed has been erected near the Manzil where only English will be taught from 2 to 5 o'clock. I do not like all this scholastic education, but for various reasons you have to learn English so that you may be able to read Ram Tirtha, Shams, Hafiz, and Vivekananda without any difficulty." But really speaking, education does not have the least connection with this path. If you have no idea what work I do and will do. But this is to show people that you are studying, and it will also help you in later years in reading the spiritual literature of the great ones. I am telling you this in case any of your parents turn up. But you should not think about all this. Just continually think of me and do as I said in yesterday's discourse, and I will look to everything. Today I'm leaving everyone and sitting inside in seclusion. What for? For you alone. It is not necessary that you think of anything else but me. Just do as I say. I will assuredly put you on the path. I may awaken some of you at night for meditation. It will be cold, but never mind. If you do not listen to what I say, you will be at a disadvantage. Leave love aside for the time being, and I will see that you benefit the most. But if love is given, you will be like fish out of water, and your thirst will take time to quench. I do not wish to harass you, and thirst is a terrible distress, indescribable. You do not have the slightest notion of it. Swami Ramakrishna's thirst was so intense he would sit in the river for days. Chaitanya Swami Baba had such great thirst that blood would flow out of his hair. But I will see that you are not put to the least trouble. It is my responsibility. Baba then had several passages read out from the mystics of Islam. Later, pointing to the dhuni, he remarked, "Here is the dhuni. When we feel cold, we go near it to get warm, and gradually the cold goes away. In a similar way, the Sadguru is the warmth, and our sanskaras are the cold. That is why it is said that a Sadguru's personal company is best, and even half a moment in his presence wipes out millions and billions of sanskaras." At noon on 12 October, a place enclosed with bamboo matting was made for Chota Baba to stay underneath Baba's table cabin. Baba mentioned that a European man who was inclined toward the path was leaving the next day and would be staying in Chota Baba's room. From that day, Baba began staying in Meher Manzil at night, especially instead of in the table cabin. Two other boys, Rajaram and Baban, who had been appointed as Baba's orderlies, were accommodated in a room adjoining Chota Baba's room. On Saturday, 13 October 1928, the 34th day of Baba's fast and the 4th day of his seclusion, all gathered at 5 o'clock near the entrance of the manzil for the lighting of the duni. Afterwards, the boys and Mandali were served tea and sweets. Baba cautioned the boys that during the cold weather, they should sit near the duni in the morning. He ordered that the duni be lit at 7 in the morning. Then, after some hours, it should be extinguished and again lit in the evenings. Jalbai was to prepare the fire, Chagan to light it, and Baidul to extinguish it. At about noon the same day, Adi Sr. and Nusirwan arrived, bringing with them a gray-haired Russian called Sadhu Christian Leek. He was the European that Baba had mentioned, and Leek was overjoyed at finding the atmosphere in Toka so congenial and uplifting, as he had been searching a long time for a guru. Vishnu accommodated him in the room previously occupied by Chota Baba. "There is something here," Lake said. "I feel it. After 20 years of longing and worship of such departed masters as Ramakrishna, today I have finally met and seen a living master." Leek was 58 when he came to Toka. Born in the Russian province of Estonia in 1870, from childhood, he had a contemplative, scholarly nature, and he became interested in Western and Eastern philosophy at an early age. As a young man, he had a lucrative position as the manager of a business firm in Moscow. But in 1902, he quit his job and traveled to England and France, seeking knowledge of spirituality. During the subsequent years, he became a naturalized British subject, served as a naval officer, and met Meredith Starr, with whom he shared similar interests. After reading about Sadhguru Ramakrishna and his chief disciple Vivekananda, Leek traveled to India in 1910 and began staying in Ramakrishna monasteries.
Okay, I think we're up to the next reader, right? Do we have anybody else? Yes, we do. Mahu.
Okay, yes. So it is page 983 in Toka, year 1928. He had been to the Himalayas, but found the atmosphere spiritually dry. After some years, however, he found himself longing to be under the guidance of a living guru. He heard that his old acquaintance, Meredith Starr, had recently gone to India and surrendered to a master. He wrote letters to Starr and was informed of Meher Baba's ashrams at Meherabad and Toka. The day after he arrived, Baba sent for Sadhu Christian Leek. When Leek was taking the master's darshan, Baba rested his head on Leek's back. Baba did not embrace him then, but later that night he did. Baba personally showed him around the Premashram where the boys were meditating. The following morning, Baba ordered Leek to observe silence and then instructed, quote, remain here with a completely free heart. Keep silence from tomorrow. Do not worry. Whatever you may need, ask Vishnu. Don't let your mind think of things that have bothered you. Have patience. I will make you steadfast in the path. I am pleased with you because despite so many hardships and sufferings, you have stuck to the path for years, end quote. Leek replied, as for patience, I have enough of it. I know I will be given the right thing at the right time when I deserve it. Baba then instructed, quote, as long as I do not send for you, do not come to me. Even if I don't call you for days, don't come and don't worry. I am with you. I will speak with you internally. I know, said Leek, masters always speak internally. Leek was a humble and unassuming person, which impressed the Mandali. For instance, he washed his own clothes, which was unusual for a European in India. Baba too was pleased that he had come and indicated that he was a genuine seeker. There's note. Marvin.
Oh, I'm sorry. Footnote. Some of Leek's acquaintances in Estonia regarded him as more than a seeker and addressed letters to him in India as most beloved master.
Meanwhile, Kakabaria arrived in Toka and was given the task of erecting a Tata fence. Baba was testing him and Kaka was still not fit to stay permanently in the ashram. After only 4 days, Baba sent him back to Bombay. On Tuesday, 16 October 1928, while discouraging to the boys, Baba disclosed more about the inner path. Quote, this path is extremely difficult for the outside world, but it will be easy for you to tread because I myself will work through you. For example, suppose you have to go to the manzil via the road, but the road is full of holes and rough, and in some places very narrow. What if you were blindfolded? How would you proceed? I will hold your hand and tell you where to put your foot, since I see each and everything. My eyes are always open. Despite all this, if you do not hold my hand, how am I to guide you? To hold my hand means to do as I say. Therefore, I am telling you daily to always listen to me and to think of me constantly with all your heart. Then see what untold benefit you drive. Jalbai, Baidul, and Chagan were responsible for looking after the boys. On the afternoon of 18 October, Baba informed them, quote, For proper meditation, the stomach should be light. This implied that there was to be a change in the boy's diet. From then on, the breakfast, tea and chapatis were served. For lunch, rice and dal. And at dinner, tea and chapatis again. Vegetables were eliminated from their diet for some days. Baba also outlined a new timetable to go into effect from the night. So 2 a.m. wake up. 2 a.m. wake up. 2 to 3 a.m. weak tea after a wash. 3 to 6 meditation. 6 to 6:30 a.m. tea and chapati. 6:30 to 7 a.m. rest. 7 to 8 a.m. meditation. 8 to 9 a.m. discourse by Baba. 9 to 10:30 a.m. sleep. 10:30 to 12 bath. When no bath, do as Baba directs. 12 to 1 p.m. lunch. 1 to 2 p.m. rest. 2 to 5 p.m. school, with an interval from 3:30 to 3:50 for medicine, etc. 5 to 6:30 p.m. some game or playing. 6:30 to 7 rest. 7 to 8 p.m. dinner. 8 to 9 p.m. to be near Baba. 9 p.m. retire. Baba would sometimes walk to the river with the boys where they would bathe. Chota Baba, who had regained some of his physical strength and was nearly normal conscious by now, was told to teach the younger boys how to swim. On the 19th, Chota Baba was ordered to fast on liquids, which he did until Baba broke his fast 5 days later. At 6:30 that evening, the boys gathered around Baba. Some began joking. However, Baba became very annoyed that they were not paying attention to him. Baba made James Titus stand up and asked him why he was laughing. He replied that he was laughing at what Beheva had done. Next page. We're on page 985, Toka. Chabu and Banaji Karani had also been laughing the whole time. Baba scolded them, quote, leaving everything and everyone aside, even my mandali. I am laboring for you, and you are laughing. I have no objection if you laugh while playing or at something humorous. But why laugh unnecessarily? Do you ever take food while answering nature's call? This quieted them down. Tuesday, 23rd October 1928 was the Hindu holiday of Dasera. On this occasion, Baba came out of his 12-day seclusion and broke his fast of 43 days. He had started passing blood in his urine, and his general health had severely weakened. When Ramju expressed his concern, Baba explained, quote, when I observe a fast, it amounts to all the people in the world having observed it, since it is no one but I in everyone. The master transferred 15 of the boys from the Prem Ashram back to Meher Ashram that day, leaving 18 boys in Prem Ashram. Agha Ali, Ali Akbar, Baban, Babu, Chabu, Datu, Daulat Qadir, Esfandiar, Hormozji, James, Javan Mard, Khuda Bakhsh, Maruti, Nana, Sahu, Suryaban, Tukaram, and Vasant. Datu's younger brother Pandit wept profusely, pleading his usual case. Give me one last chance, you are God, and I am but a little boy. Why be so harsh with me? And he was therefore included among those remaining in the Prem Ashram. Lobaji, Behiva, Chander, and Banaji also would not stop crying and threatened to leave, but Baba consoled them, and in the end, they obediently joined Meher Ashram. Changdev and Jinu begged the Mandali to plead with Baba to forgive them. Baba called both before him at 4 o'clock. Changdev said that he would be his servant until death, and prayed that Baba overlook his past mistakes. Feeling their sincere, tearful entreaties, Baba forgave them and allowed them to remain in Prem Ashram. The rest of the day was filled with cries of repentance. Those boys who were transferred wept bitterly. Hari nearly went mad with grief, tying a scarf around his neck to choke himself. After another rukus, Baba decided to keep 4 boys, Shakur, Bansi, Jamshed Bustad, and Jamshed Namdar, separate in the Mehrabad, Mandali's section of the Topa Ashram. A boy named Raghunath was ordered to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and meditate. Baba gave some of the boys his kerchiefs, bottles, dishes, photographs, and other personal items to pacify them. And at 5:30 that evening, all were dismissed.
Okay, I believe we're up to a next reader. Dinesh, would you like to read?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead. 986, Toka, 1928. Several of the men, including Ajoba and Ardeshi Irani, went back to their homes at this time. And it seemed to foreshadow coming events. The next day, 24th October, Baba sent some of the Prem Ashram boys to Happy Valley, where he intended to spend a few days. The boys left at 5 in the evening with Chagan, Bedul, and Karim and spent the night there. Baba arrived early the following morning at 3:30 with Chota Baba, Jal Bhai, Desu, Rajaram, Ali Akbar, Aga Ali, Kalingad, Baban, and Jawan Murd, driven by Adi, senior at 5:30 a.m. Baba himself prepared tea and served it. And with the help of the boys, he fried bhujiyas. Later, Sarosh arrived bringing vegetables and chapatis. In the afternoon, Adi took Baba for a ride in the car for half an hour. After dinner, Baba gathered the boys and explained to them, just listen to me. If you commit mistakes, I will forgive them not once, but a million times. But do your best to do as I say. If you obey, I will see to your progress. Never be afraid of me. Suppose a child while playing puts a stone in his mouth and the mother sees it. Do you think she would stand passive at the sight? She would do her best to take the stone from his mouth or beat him. In the same way, I am the mother of the universe, especially of you. And so what reason is there to fear anything? Never fear. I won't send you to MEHER ashram as I sent the other boys. I will see that you tread the path. Baba then distributed the trophies Adi had brought and informed the boys that while in Happy Valley, they did not have to meditate. The next 3 days passed pleasantly. Baba went for walks with the boys. On occasion, he had phonograph records played and explained the meaning of the songs, and he joined in games with them. They left Happy Valley after a break of 5 days, returning to Toka at 8:30 p.m. on 28th October. The next day, Baba called the boys and reminded them not to be drowsy during meditation, informing them Abdullah, Chota Baba, has received an inner shock and his heart is palpitating, but I will see that nothing happens to him. He has had some experience of divinity, but nothing of the sort did you have to pass through. I will make you perfect.
Okay, Dinesh, thank you. The reading was fine, but your connection is a little not so clear. So let us move to another reader.
Jai Baba.
Hey, Baba. Jay, would you like to read, man?
I think normally Jay just listens. So maybe Marvin, do you want to read?
Yeah, we'll go back to the top there, I guess. Okay. Let's go like 2 pages each at this point. $9.87. Afterward, he handed medicine to those boys with colds. Many had coughs, and then went for a brief stroll in the moonlight to the confluence of the Pravara and Godavari rivers. Tea at dinner for the boys seemed to be having a deleterious effect on their health. So from the 31st, vegetables were once again served with their evening meal. Bob accepted an invitation to go to the village of Newasa on Thursday, 1st November 1928, where a friend of Dake's, D.L. Carvade, had invited the master to the housewarming ceremonies of his new home. Baba went there that afternoon in Vital Bokri's truck with several of the boys and men. An enjoyable time was spent there, and Baba appreciated the bhajan singing very much. While returning to Toka, when they came to the river, their car stalled. Dake offered to carry Baba across on his shoulders. Baba smiled and replied, "I am prepared as long as you promise not to drop me." "Never," Dake promised. "I may stumble, but I promise you will not fall." Everyone laughed, and Baba asked, "Are you a magician? When you fall, how will I remain on my feet?" Dake, with a witty answer, said, "How could you fall, Baba? Those who make the fallen rise never fall themselves." Baba then got on Dake's shoulders and crossed the river. On the opposite bank, Baba remarked, "You have brought me across the river today. I am pleased with your efforts, and one day I will help you cross the river of eternal existence." A singing program that was not as enjoyable as the one in Niwasa was held at 4 p.m. on 4 November. A group from Baroda had come and waited for hours before Baba agreed to hear them, based on Vishnu's recommendation. But when Baba heard their off-key voices, he stopped them after only 15 minutes and sent them away with his blessings. Comparing their singing to a train, Baba joked to the Mandali, the elder singer sounded like the blast of the engine, and the youngster like its whistle. Rustam was a capable manager to whom Baba had given the management of all the ashram affairs while in Toka, leaving every decision to his discretion. Rustam had to use his own judgment and was even forbidden to ask Baba for advice in any instance. On the 5th, Baba reaffirmed Rustam's responsibility. "It is your choice. You may serve me or meditate on me." Rustam replied that he preferred service. Afterward, Baba explained to the Mandali and boys about meditation. "Meditate on me to such an extent as to forget everything else. Be merged in me." Leader, though he is fasting and meditating, is still not merged in me. Meditate spontaneously, like the inhalation and exhalation of your breath, which goes on automatically, like the tick, tick, tick of a clock, while sitting, eating, drinking, studying. Amidst every activity, meditate on me naturally. Meditation with the help of mercy leads to the path, with the help of the master to samadhi. But without grace, such meditation is not possible. Every day, Baba emphasized to the boys to be alert and not doze off while meditating at night. On Thursday, 8 November 1928, he gathered them at 9 in the morning and narrated this story. Once, an uncle and his nephew, who were both very stubborn and obstinate, came home and found a delicious laddu on the table. Both wanted it and quarreled over who should have it. In the end, they decided that whatever happened, whoever spoke first would lose the sweet. They sat down opposite each other and neither spoke for hours and hours. The aunt, knowing their stubborn natures, took everything out of the hut and set fire to it, but neither moved. All the while they stared at the laddu. But when the fire reached them, the nephew could stand it no longer. Screaming, he fled the house. Immediately, the uncle picked up the laddu and popped it in his mouth. You should be like the uncle and totally concentrated on me while meditating without feeling the least bit drowsy. The 12th of November was an eclipse of the sun, and several thousand people from the surrounding villages came for the master's darshan. Baba was not happy taking time out of his schedule to give darshan, but he met the villagers anyway. He preferred to spend most of his time with the boys of the Prem ashram. He would watch them play cricket, walk with them to the riverside, and watch Shagan give them swimming lessons. He would feed them with his own hands, listen to phonograph records with them, and regularly give discourses. The routine at this time was 9 to 10 a.m. a discourse, 10 to 12 swimming, 12 to 2 p.m. meditation, then lunch, and either accompanying Baba on a walk or listening to music. Mona, you want to go ahead?
Sure. Baba visited them at night also, sometimes coming 2 or 3 times between 10 p.m. and 2:30 a.m. to check on their meditation. Different people would come and go under the master's direction. Suna Masi and her daughter Khurshid returned to Toka from Bombay to join the women mandali on 17th November. Janji had been sent to Bombay and Navsari for 10 days, and he returned the next day. In early November 1928, Baba again began complaining about the climate of Toka. Winter was approaching and the health of the boys and Mandali was not good. Many were suffering with colds and fever. On Sunday, 18th November, in an unhappy mood, Baba stated, now it is better to shift the ashram back to Meherabad, except for a few select boys. The rest will be sent back to their homes. The boys of the Prem ashram are jewels, and I will set them on the path. Baba then explained to all the boys that for a month they should go home until arrangements were complete for their stay at Meherabad, after which they would be called back. Due to Baba's persuasion, the children agreed to return home under the impression that their separation would be temporary. Later that day, 7 boys from Ahmednagar were sent home. The next day, 18 more from Bombay, Karachi, and Pune departed, escorted by Padri and Behram. The mystery underlying this new development was unraveled when, on 19th November, Aga Ali's father came to Toka for the 3rd time. On this occasion, he brought a notorious gangster with him to forcefully demand the return of his son. Ali was handed over to him and they left the following day. It was for this very reason that Baba had been working so strenuously day and night with the boys during the previous few months. As soon as his work was finished, he announced his sudden decision to send the boys away, and the next day Ali's father arrived, threatening dire consequences by his bodyguard if his son was not returned to him. By 20th November, Pesu took home a 3rd group of Hindu boys, leaving only a few boys remaining in the Prema ashram. Among this group were the 14 boys from Persia. MEHER ashram, which had started with only 10 local Hindu children, had gradually increased in number until by 18th November 1928. The total number was 102 boys, 49 Hindus, 32 Zoroastrians, 20 Muslims, and 1 Christian. Footnote, please.
Of the 49 Hindus, 15 were Harijans, 15 Marathas, 11 Brahmins, 8 other castes.
In addition to the boys, there were 100 others, men, women, and families living at Toka. The idea to publish a monthly magazine occurred to K.J. Dastur, and Baba encouraged him to go ahead with his plan. On 22nd November, Baba named the monthly the MEHER Message and also hinted at publishing journals in Urdu, Marathi, Gujarati, and Persian. Baba invited Dastur, Ramju, and Chanji to meet and share their views on the proposed publications. On hearing the proposal and also the suggestion that a committee be formed to approve the articles for the periodicals, Dastur became upset and lost his temper, except for the MEHER Message, of which he had been appointed editor. He did not wish any other publication to be circulated. Baba drew Dastur's attention to certain discrepancies in the magazine's opening article, which Dastur had edited, pointing to Chanji and Ramju. Dastur claimed that Baba always did as they said. Baba retorted, if they really think I act according to their dictates, then there is no point in your staying with me. After the discussion ended, Dastur returned to his room. Baba then informed Ramju and Chanji, let him do as he wishes. I will see what he does. I won't permit anything I won't permit anything objectionable to be published. During the previous months, Ramju was busy interviewing the students about their spiritual experiences and the events in the school ashram for his book titled Sobs and Throbs. The typing of the manuscript began on the day Aga Ali was removed from the ashram by his father and the bodyguard. Due to the cold weather, some of the Prem Ashram boys had severe coughs. On 24th, Baba instructed Baidul to bring some bottles of cough syrup from the dispensary. By mistake, a bottle of iodine got mixed up with the cough mixture, with the cough mixture, as it looked exactly the same. All the bottles were given to Baba. Instead of dispensing the medicine, Baba twirled one of the bottles in his hand for a while. He uncorked it, smelled it, and handed it back to Baidul, declaring that it was iodine. Baba was very upset. Had this been given to the boys, he said, they might have died. Baidul apologized profusely for his mistake and Baba forgave him. Among those of the Mandali who were sick at the time were Padri and Meherji. On 25th November, Meherji was so ill that he stopped eating. He secretly longed for some juicy Kabuli pomegranates or some oranges and apples during his illness, but did not reveal this desire to anyone. What page number are we on, Marvin? Let's end it now. It's 11 o'clock and we can have a small chat.
Okay, we're at the bottom of 990. I think we should pick it up next time, right at that last paragraph on this page.
Okay. So let's stop recording. Oh, actually, to anyone who's seeing this recording, if you're going to be there on the Lord Meher book reading at next Tuesday, we're having a 1-year celebration of Lord Meher book reading. Do join in 9:30 to 11 India Standard Time. We would love to have you all there. Yep. Thank you. You want to stop